flipping the page over, we have a couple more problems, and so we have the same denominator. And just you want to remember when it's minus, the minus distributes out to each term in the numerator of the second term, right? So we get 12k minus 3k minus 7 over k squared. So now we'll combine our like terms and we'll get 9k minus 7 over k squared. And so we don't have a common factor. We can factor out the numerator, and we have two factors of k times k. But we don't have a common factor in the numerator and the denominator. So that's going to be our answer. It's 9k minus 7 over k squared. Now we're here. Again, we have this same factors in the denominator. So we're just going to combine the numerator. So c plus 1 minus c minus 6, because the minus distributes out. And then we get c squared minus 4. So we'll combine our like terms, and we get c minus c is 0. 1 minus 6 is negative 5. So we get negative 5 over c squared minus 4. Right? So that's our answer. We don't have any common factors that we can cancel out in the numerator and denominator. So it's minus 5 over c squared minus 4. All right. So now we're here, and let's see if we can do anything with this one. We got a minus sign, so we'll do, and we have the same denominator. So we could do 1 minus x minus 3 plus 3x over 2x squared minus 7x plus 5. We'll combine our like terms, and we'll get 2x, right? 3x minus x is 2x. And then negative 3 plus 1 is minus 2 over 2x squared minus 7x plus 5. So now let's see if we can go ahead and factor that denominator, and it looks like we can, right? So here we have a quadratic expression, so we're going to go ahead and use the x method. And in the numerator, it's a times c, so it's 2 times 5 is 10. And then negative 7b down in the bottom of the cross. Remember, since our first term, our x squared, does not have a 1 in front of it, there's a 2 there, we need to put 2x here and 2x here before we find our factors. All right. So now what two numbers multiply to 10 and add up to negative 7? So I think that would be 5 and 2, right? So we have 1 times 10 does not work. And then 2 times 5, that does work. So let's do 2 and 5. And then they need to multiply to positive and add to negative 7. So both this 2 and the 5 need to go negative. We need to simplify our fractions. So here it's going to become negative x. I'm sorry, we could do x over negative 1, right? X over negative 1, because we have a common factor of 2. So we're dividing the 2 by 2, so it becomes 1. And then negative 2 by 2, that becomes negative 1. Okay, so we have our two factors now. It's x and negative 1 and 2x and negative 5. So let's rewrite our expression with our factors in the denominator instead. So we'll have 2x minus 2 over x minus 1, parentheses 2x minus 5. All right, so here we go. And now you're looking at it, and we're looking at the numerator. And we want to get a x minus 1 up here, right? So we're looking and we're seeing, is there a common factor between the two terms? And yes, there is. There's a 2 in both, right? So we'll rewrite this as 2 times x minus 1 over x minus 1, 2x minus 5. Okay. So what did we do here? We factor out the common factor of a 2. So it's 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. So we factored out the 2. And now we have common factors, right? We have a x minus 1 in the numerator. We have an x minus 1 in the denominator. So those two cancel out. And our answer is 2 over 2x minus 5. So let's put it over here, 2 over 2x minus 5. All right, so here's another quadratic expression in the denominator. Let's go ahead and see what we get here. So it's negative 12y plus 84 over y squared minus 9y plus 14. So we want to factor that denominator, the expression in the denominator. So a times c is 14, and then b, negative 9 at the bottom. So 1 times 14 doesn't work. Oh, and there's a 1 in front of the y squared, so we don't need to put that fraction and in our factors, right? So two numbers, so the 2 times 7, that adds up to -9. So 2 times 7. And they need to add up, multiply to positive 14, add to -9, so it's negative. Okay, so let's rewrite our quotient. It's going to be -12y plus 84 over y minus 2 and y minus 7, like so. All right, so now we need to get one of these factors down here in the numerator, right? And the only way we can make that happen is if we factor out a 12. Right? 12 evenly divides into 12, and 12 also evenly divides into 84. Okay. But also notice that if we factor out a 12, we'll get a negative y here, a negative y. Right? We don't want a negative y because the factor in the denominator is positive y. So we want to factor out a negative 12. Okay, so we factor out the negative 12, and so we get positive y. And then what times negative 12 makes 84? Well, that's going to be a -7. So now we have our factors. You can see we have a common factor of y minus 7 in the numerator and the denominator, so those cancel out. And my final answer is minus 12 over y minus 2. So -12 over y minus 2.